Carl Jung once said something that will completely change the way you look at relationships. But first, let me ask, have you ever noticed that the people who need you the most only realize it after you're gone? What I'm about to share with you goes against everything you've been told about being nice and available. But Jung uncovered something deep in human psychology that explains why being constantly present can actually make you disappear. According to Carl Jung, the human psyche works through a basic principle: tension and release. He called it the law of opposites. We only understand light after knowing darkness. We only value presence after feeling absence. Here's what most people miss: your availability becomes their expectation. Jung learned that people don't value what they can always predict. When you're always there, always replying, always helping, you become what he called psychologically invisible. Your presence loses power because it lacks contrast. Think about that. When was the last time someone truly saw your constant availability? When did anyone pause and appreciate the energy you give just to support them emotionally? Here's the hard truth, Jung revealed. People ignore what they don't have to earn, and the truth is your presence. It's become too easy to reach. Carl Jung said that individuation, becoming who you really are, requires pulling back the projections we place on others. But here's what his work suggests. Even if he didn't say it directly, sometimes you have to pull yourself away so others can finally see your worth. Stay with me, because what I'll tell you next might change everything you believe about love and respect. When you step back with intention, something Jung called the transcendent function begins to work. This is the mind's way of forming new understanding through inner tension. Your absence creates psychological tension. That tension forces people to realize what they've taken for granted. Jung discovered that the unconscious mind only wakes up when patterns are broken. Your non-stop presence has become a pattern. Breaking it, that's the shadow self. It's when people suddenly see who you really are. But let's be clear, this isn't manipulation. Jung was firm about living with integrity. This is about honoring your psychological needs and creating boundaries that serve you and others. According to Carl Jung, your shadow self holds all the parts of you that you've hidden or ignored. For many of us, that includes the right to say no, the right to be unavailable, the right to put ourselves first. We've been told that doing this is selfish, but Jung knew better. He believed owning your shadow, including your right to step away, is key to becoming whole. When you always give up your needs for others, that's not being good, it's being incomplete. And what might shock you is this: Jung believed that people who always say yes often carry deep, unconscious resentment. Deep inside, they're angry that their boundaries are crossed, but they don't know how to stop it. Your constant presence isn't just hurting you, it's creating imbalance. Others become addicted to your energy, but they give nothing back. Jung called this psychological parasitism. Now here's where it gets really powerful. Jung noticed this again and again through decades of work. When you pull away at the right moment, you trigger individuation in other people. They're forced to face their own neediness. They start asking themselves, why do I expect this person to always be here? What am I missing inside? Carl Jung also believed silence is one of the strongest ways to communicate. He said, your vision becomes clear when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. When you stop filling the silence with words, with explanations, with comfort, you push others to look inward. And that's where the real growth begins. Jung saw what many still miss. People don't appreciate what they don't have to think about. Your presence became background noise. But absence grabs attention. It sparks what Jung called conscious realization. Here's what Jung knew, what even today's psychology is only starting to catch up to. The people who love you will honor your boundaries. The ones who don't, they'll show their true colors when you're not around. When you step back and someone reacts with anger, guilt, or controlian, would say they're not upset because they miss you. They're upset because their emotional supply has been cut off. According to Jung, strong relationships require something called differentiation, the ability to stay close while still being yourself. But when you're always available, you lose that. You stop being your own person and become whatever others need you to be. Jung believed the mind naturally tries to balance things out, process he called compensation. If you give too much, your psyche pushes back with resentment. If you're always there, it pushes back by making you feel unseen. This isn't theory, it's psychological law. When you're too available, your mind tries to restore balance by making you feel invisible and unappreciated. But here's the most life-changing part of Jung's insight. When you meet your own emotional needs, you give others the freedom to do the same. When you live with boundaries, you teach others how to create them. When you value your presence, you show others how to value it too. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But you can't become that person if you're busy being what everyone else needs you to be." Your absence isn't mean it's real. It's you saying my energy matters. My presence is not a guarantee. And when you treat yourself as valuable, others will start to see it that way too. According to Jung, people often project their emotional needs onto others. So when someone demands your attention all the time, it's often about their own fear of being alone, their insecurity, or their need to be validated. By stepping back, you're not abandoning them, you're giving them the chance to grow. This might be difficult, but it's freeing for both of you. Jung's wisdom shows us something powerful about connection. Your presence is a gift, not a right. Your time and care are choices, not debts. When you give them, do it from love, not from guilt. And sometimes, not being there is the most loving thing you can do. When you're not always available, people stop and reflect. They ask what they need, who they are, and what truly matters. The ones who value you will show respect. The ones who don't will react. That reaction will tell you everything. That lesson alone might be worth everything. Jung taught us that being ourselves is the greatest act of courage. In a world that wants you to fit in, being real takes strength. It means loving your flaws, protecting your energy, and making hard choices. Sometimes, being yourself means being away from toxic people, draining roles, and fake expectations. In the end, both your presence and your absence are powerful. Use them wisely, and you'll build deeper, more meaningful relationships. Thanks for staying with me today. If this message spoke to you, hit subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it.